At the beginning, everything was white. And then, in God's deepest dream, there was a spark of fertility. Pachamama was birthed in time and space. And the earth school, our home, was created. And the fertility goddess Pachamama opened her arms for our place to learn our lessons.
Hey, hey!
Welcome, Sam Bell Show. My name is Sam Bell. I'm glad you're here. Today we're going to focus on mind control, the thoughts that you're bouncing around inside your cranium, in your gray matter. And this is not included in the banned videos section of my website. It's kind of a teaser. I'll be talking about things that will be thoroughly explored in the banned videos. That's $3 a month. So now, mind control. Have you ever been under the influence of mind control? Well, what I'm going to be sharing now is my personal experiences. Okay. Not necessarily stuff I learned out of a book or in a classroom or through the TV or mainstream media or mainstream radio or digital television. My direct experiences in my mind control and how I've gone from clueless to incredibly skeptical. Okay, now today is Tuesday. Saturday, I will turn 75 years old. So, been around. And this information is kind of dangerous. Okay, so in general, if this was to go out on someplace that everybody got to watch it, like on YouTube, first it would get dinged, and then I'd have people coming after me because it's too accessible to people. So this is, if you're watching this, you're watching it because you're on Vimeo. I had to move everything over to a private spot. So the following is my reporting of my experiences, which is a little different. Most people that are on the media are talking about something that somebody wrote as a script, or they bring it up because it's interesting, or they want to influence you, not because they've lived it. Okay. So I've lived this stuff. And I'm not a dummy. I'm not the smartest cookie coming out of the oven, but I'm not a dummy. Okay. So now, a handful of my loved ones have been inoculated and boosted, and the other stuff that follows up after that. So that's a terrible thing, to be indoctrinated into a system where you don't question what you're being instructed to do. So I didn't get vaccinated. I didn't. Immediately I could tell, no, it was total bullshit. Okay. Now, could I tell? Well, I was like everybody else. I'm sitting around doing my thing. I live in Peru. Miraflores is a suburb, a very nice suburb of Lima, Peru. And they said, well, you're going to be locked down for just 3 days. That's all, just 3 days. That's all you got to do is be locked down for 3 days. I'm like, what? This is Peru and Switzerland. USA and Europe and all over hell. It's only 3 days. I'm like, So at this point, I'd been a licensed California speech and language pathologist. Speech is the production of the sounds. Language is the stuff that goes on between your ears. Two different things, okay? Speech is attached to the sounds that go in your ears. And then language are the auditory memories, visual memories, tactile memories, olfactory memories that are attached to those sounds that you're remembering. So right now I'm making sound. It's going in the microphone. It's going in your ears. And you're having thoughts. Like if I say, banana split with extra chocolate hot sauce, that's what created in your mind. Now, those sounds don't make you see banana split, but when they hit your ears, they're just vibrating air particles, and they go up into your inner ear and up to your brain stem, and they go up and they get processed, and those sounds get attached. If you can remember the sounds, first you have to have auditory memory. First, you have to have auditory discrimination to tune out the other sounds that aren't speech sounds automatically. You can't turn your ears off. So your ears are discriminating what to tune in on, and then they're going up, and then you have to remember the sounds once they're made. Hello. And then they get attached to all the thought forms that are attached to that memory of sounds. So it's usually a giant generalization. Okay, so if I say banana split with chocolate sauce, I'm thinking of Woolworths when a big old banana split was 99 cents. It's 3 scoops of ice cream, whipped cream, and then chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla with hot fudge sauce and strawberry sauce. And I'd say, no whipped cream because I'm on a diet. And they'd look at me like, ha, ha, ha. So speech and language is something you use automatically. Okay. And actually, I'm not thinking about my tongue tip. I'm not thinking about my airflow. I'm not thinking about my vocalizations. I'm trying to process the thoughts so that I can share them and you'll understand them. And you don't think about your lips, your teeth, your tongue, your breathing. You don't think about how the sounds are making the thought forms in your head. You're automatic. Okay. And it's very simple. It's you learn what you're exposed to. I'm going to repeat this, please. So please grasp it. You learn what you're exposed to. You do not learn what you're not exposed to. Big deal in mind control. So, okay, 1949, Sammy's born. Probably about 1955, 1955. First, I get baptized, circumcised and baptized. Okay. Like, oh, I've created sin. I'm born with mortal sin. Yeah. Like, sure. Just incarnated out of the most precious place, my mother's womb. And I'm got mortal sin. So my parents got me baptized because if I'm not baptized and I die, I go to hell. That's where they were coming from. Okay. So about 1955, I'm in kindergarten, St. Leo School, San Jose, California. And I got my own box of Crayolas. Woo, doggies. And we kept them in a cigar box. Each child, there was 50 kids, got a cigar box we kept in the cupboards, and we got to put our stuff in the cigar box. So it's like, cool. Go pee-pee in the big bathroom kind of thing. So, well, you're getting taught by a nun. So it's this lady dressed in black that will hit you. Okay. And she's telling you, well, we have to pray to, Jesus, because Jesus is God. And God knows the Pope. The Pope then was Pope Pius XII in Rome, in the Vatican. So that's the same thing my parents told me, Jesus is God. And that's why I'm good at St. Leo's School. And all I ever did is played in the backyard, running around in my underwear, San Jose, California. But on Sundays, we get dressed up, put on some nice clothes and go to church, genuflect and sit in the pews and use the holy water and stand up and kneel and stand up and kneel and genuflect. And you got to be there at the beginning, and you go to this, it's a mass, they call it a mass. So it's like a whole bunch of people in the room in the church, St. Leo's Church on Race Street in San Jose, California. And then they have what's called a communion. So then people would go up and then they would get a piece of God that you eat because the priest knows the Pope and the Pope knows God. And so the priest can say some stuff and make this little thing that's white and it's round, kind of look like a Necco wafer, a piece of candy. And then that's a piece of God. That's a piece of Jesus. So then you eat it and then you're better. It's kind of like you're saved. And then actually you don't have to wait much longer until the mass is over. You can actually kind of sneak out after the communion because that was the rule. After the communion happens, you could kind of leave, but you can't just walk up and walk. You kind of like, back out and stuff. And then, so that's, I'm totally clueless. I don't know what the hell's going on, except I just know that this is the rules and you can't eat meat on Friday. I remember that one. You can't eat meat on Friday because you go to hell. They had a bunch of rules. I didn't know the rules really, but if you broke the rules, you go to hell. And if you're not a Catholic, you definitely go to hell, which kind of really upset me because I happen to know two boys that went to Hester Elementary School on the way home. And Sister Mary Francina said, they're going to go to hell. You're going to burn forever in hell. It's too bad. Doesn't matter if they're good or bad. They're going to burn in hell. Ask my mom. She goes, yeah, they're going to go to hell. Ask my dad. Yeah, you're going to go to hell. They'll go to hell. That's it. So clueless, man. Boy, was I clueless. And by about, I think it was like third grade, you have the catechism and then you start going to confession. I had to go to confession so that I could receive my first Holy Communion. Oh, good. I get to, be closer to God. But I got to go in this little room and get on my knees and talk into this little thing. And the priest is on the other side because it's a big secret. And I got to tell him my mortal sins. Okay. Because if you have a mortal sin and you die, you go to fucking hell again. I'm like, there's venial sins. I know it's not good, but you don't go to hell. It kind of works out or something. I don't know. The term purgatory hadn't really come up yet, but I knew that if you don't go to church on Sunday, you go to hell. If you eat meat on Friday, you go to hell. Okay. All right. They're all dressed in black. The priests, the monsignors, the nuns, all dressed in black. And everybody's Catholic. Everybody's Catholic. So, well, I got to come up with a fucking mortal sin. I don't have one. I didn't eat meat on Friday and I didn't miss a mass. So I asked Sister Mary Francina, you know what? I can't think of a mortal sin. She slapped me. You've got mortal sins. Well, I don't know what to do. I pooped my pants once. She goes, well, that qualifies. But have you ever been angry at somebody? I go, oh yeah, my sister Mickey. I get in touch with my sister Mickey. Well, that's a mortal sin. Okay. So I go in, I'm really small. Okay, I'm not like the third shortest kid in my classroom. So you got to wait, wait in the pews. Next, okay, next, okay. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I pooped my pants and I got in a fight with my sister Mickey. Oh. Well, you're forgiven. Just do 3 Hail Marys. And so, okay, oh, thank God, I'm not going to go to hell. So, okay, I leave. And I'm like, God, that was kind of weird. You go, Hail Mary, full of grace. What was that one? Hail Mary, full of... okay. Hail Mary. That meant that Sunday came, I have to go to the Mass no matter what, but I could receive the Holy Communion. Okay. So, big deal. Actually, my father was a machinist. At that point, we had 5 kids. We ended up with 7 kids, Catholics. But at that point, after the first Holy Communion we went to a pancake house. And my old man cooked pancakes like a nut job. And we actually went to a pancake house and spent real money. It's the first time I ever went to a restaurant. Okay, actually walked into a restaurant and ate, and I had a pancake. I think it was like blueberry jam or something, blueberry syrup or something. Like, woo, doggies. God loves me. I get to have pancakes. This is the best. So I learned reading, writing, arithmetic. And I don't get any smarter. I'm still believing this stuff. Okay. When the Pope would be on the radio, the whole church, the whole St. Leo's, first kindergarten through eighth grade would shut down. And everybody's like, praying, there's the Pope. And when the Pope would do a blessing through the TV, we'd all like get on our knees. Oh, the Pope's giving a blessing. Thank you, Pope Pius the 12th. He knows God. Yes, he knows God. He knows Jesus. Oh, God, really? Wow. He lives in a place called the Vatican. Ooh, what's this about? Is this near, the Burger Bar? No, it's not even around here. It's in another place. I'm like, wow, he must know Jesus. And then he's got, the robes and the whole thing. So totally fucking brainwashed. Totally fucking brainwashed. Okay. Of course, if it's a sin if you talk to somebody who's not a Catholic. Okay, it's a venial sin. So fuck that. I'm not talking to anybody who's not a Catholic. So I couldn't talk to these people. I passed them when I walked home every day from St. Leo's. I'd pass these two boys that I happened to know. So I can't talk to you. And then the Hester had these kids that had a big stick with a thing that said stop, and they would stop the traffic, right? And we would have to wait until they're gone, so that we wouldn't have to go near them to cross the street. So these guys, when they finally left, then we would cross the street because they weren't there. We didn't want to get close to them. That's how fucking stupid I was. Brainwashed. Hello? Brainwashed. Okay. You do the confirmation. Now, I became an altar boy at the earliest age, and I was the last mass I was an altar boy at was in Watsonville, California. And I was altar boy with Jerry Brown, who later became the governor, and Cesar Chavez. Okay, and some bishop or some guy that super got a funny hat, and he said the mass to these migrant laborers, these poor Mexican guys. They're all Catholics too. That was the last time. So my brother Charlie was the same height as me, so the nun could just select us to do the masses Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every day 6:30, and Saturday was at 8:00. But we didn't do mass on Sunday. So for years and years and years and years and years and years, I was the altar boy in the mass. Get up early, ride my bicycle to St. Leo's, get there about 6:20, sit on the stoop outside. The priest would open the door. I'd go in, put on my outfit and my special white tennis shoes and light the candles and make sure that, the little crooks, those little things are the water and the wine and, the bells and that sort of thing, and do the mass. Okay, so total mind control. I didn't even question it. I mean, everybody's telling me that's the way it goes. And then they got the Bible. There's the book. It's in the book. A coloring book. This is the Bible. But it was a kid's Bible. And Jesus is, blessing people and saving the sheep and saving the people and people that are hurt and dead. Jesus is bringing them alive. Jesus is God. Jesus is God. Okay, and there's statues of Jesus everywhere. Everywhere. And the apostles. I knew about Jesus and apostles. And his mother, Mary. His mother, Mary. There's a lot of Mary statues around Mary. And lots of candles. Okay, so now my old man, Joe Bell, I call him Skipper Joe, was hardcore born and raised a Catholic. Hardcore. Okay, he's born in Shanghai, China, to a very wealthy family. It had 11 boys and 5 girls, 16 children, hardcore Catholic. Actually, my grandfather and his brother built the first Catholic cathedral in China, in Shanghai. So, my old man, I think once a month he'd get dressed up in this outfit with a special with a big sword. He was the Knights of Columbus. Okay. So I'm like, woo. Wow, something's going on heavy. Okay, so I'm sheltered, not exposed to anything. So what did I learn? Well, I learned to do the mass in Latin, because back then you did the mass in Latin. Okay. So a little kid, I'm learning Latin. And I could do the mass, on all the stuff you're supposed to do, the bell ringing and getting the stuff and all the stuff and helping the priest in my sleep. So a priest that I was friends with was Father Thomas McMahon. Really nice guy. And graduated 8th grade and got a scholarship to a high school that had just opened. It was called Archbishop Mitty High School in Cupertino. We were the first class. So nice brochure and school, go there. Okay. So cool, and then of course, all my family wants to be a priest. The oldest son's going to be a priest. And my godfather, my father's youngest brother, he was a Maryknoll priest. So, it's like, summers I go to the seminary, right? Different seminaries. And, summers it's like, a week and a half or 2 weeks. You go there and it's kind of like recreation camp, but it's at the seminary. So you got praying and mass and hanging out with seminarians. That's like baby priests, and then with real priests, and then old priests. So it's like, I'm cool, man. Yeah, I'm cool, man. I'm in there tight. So I go to Mitty and you got to take a bus. It's like a big deal by myself. Get on the bus and go downtown San Jose, and then get on another bus and get on a bus full of rowdy boys. And it pulls up at Archbishop Mitty, and where the fuck is it? It's not even here. What? It's not even built. So I'm like, oh. Actually, the first year, our classes were in an elementary school next door. So that was kind of a bummer. It's like, well, I'm back. I'm supposed to go to high school, dances and stuff, girls and that kind of thing. But no. So that kind of made me think, well, that's kind of weird, because we were sold it, this is nice high school in the brochures, and we get there and there's nothing there. So that made me wonder about stuff. And the brothers were called Marianist brothers, and they were mean motherfuckers. They'd beat the shit out of you, pull your hair, hit you in the back of the head with a history book, smack the crap out of you with a ruler. So it was like, whack. So you got a bunch of freshmen in a situation where there's no elder students to show you how to act. And so you got a bunch of goofballs acting like super goofballs. The rules were you can wear your regular clothes, but they had to be a white shirt and dress pants and black shoes. So back then, see, that was 64, 63. Peg pants are in. Okay, so you had the Rolling Stones, bad guys. The Dave Clark Five, kind of mediocre guys. Then you got the Beatles, which are like, I don't know, man. What's with these Beatle guys? They got long hair. What's going on? So, second year, and the tuition's paid and all the books are paid. I don't have to pay for either one of those. Now we're in an actual high school. The building's completed, or mostly completed. The grounds aren't completed. The fields aren't completed, but the building's completed, so we can use some of the rooms. And I'm like, well, this is, I don't know, man. This is kind of weird. This really is kind of weird. So, because I got beat up twice by brothers. One just gave me a fucking black eye, and I didn't do fucking a thing. Okay, I'm on the bus asleep. He came up and punched the crap out of me because the guy next to me was blowing a horn out the window. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. So I'm like, fuck, man, what's this about? So my friend, Father Thomas McMahon, was at St. Leo's. He had a teen club, and he was going to take the teen club to Europe. Cool, cool. So, well, I'm 17, and I got a driver's license now. And I have a 55 GMC pickup, 3/4 ton truck with a granny gear for a second, kind of old farm ranch truck. California was all ranch stuff then. This was actually bought out on Monterey Road where there's almond orchards and prune orchards. So I had this truck, and so I could drive around with this truck and find odd jobs. And Father Tom would put in the little newspaper at the church, Sam Bell will, clean your attic or remove the trees or whatever and whatever. So I scrambled and made some money. Okay, so off I go, going to Europe. And at that time, my uncle was the host of the Today Show, Frank McGee, NBC News. Very, very important. Frank McGee, NBC News. So I'd always seen Uncle Frank on TV. I never met him. He'd be there. He did the space shots, and he was the main guy on NBC. There was Frank McGee, Chet Huntley, and David Brinkley. That was it. So when JFK was killed, who was Catholic, Frank was in Dallas that day. Okay. And that night, he flew back to NBC in New York and did the end of the news and talked about it. You can find that on YouTube. So I went and stayed at my Uncle Frank's house. Now, the term is wet behind the ears means you don't know jack shit. Well, that was me. Okay. I'm like, I don't know. And my old man, Joe, Skipper Joe, was OSS. Okay, Office of Strategic Services, which later became the CIA. At the end of World War II, OSS disappeared, and a few of them became CIA. So, well, he was a war hero, but he never said to me he was a war hero. Hopefully we'll show the medals he got and stuff, but he never talked about the war, ever. Never talked about a thing or the medals or anything, but he still had his parachute down in the basement. And so plane lands in New York, and I'm, woo, cool. My mama, when you're 17 and there's nobody around to supervise you, you don't know jack shit. You're like, yeah, let's go do something. So my friend Joe Mazzola and I went both bought a pack of cigarettes. Okay. Opened the whole pack like a bag of candy and just smoked the entire pack straight through, one after a time, thinking we're so cool. We also went and met some nice girls in London who brought us to a party with the Monkees. We're cool, They're wearing mini skirts, and we got black peg pants. Anyway, so back in New York, when we landed, I stayed with my Uncle Frank at his place in Scarsdale, New York. He picked me up at the train station in a brand new GTO convertible, white. And he was wearing white. Train pulled up and he's like, oh, wow, check that out. So then we went to his place, and his place was like, big old motherfucking place. Money's like everywhere. Garage full of fancy cars. Had a cousin there. Anyway, so that was very strange, being in a setting where people had money and everything was nice. Whereas at our house, at this point, we've got 6 kids. And my dad worked at the can company, so we just ate what are called dents. Cans are with vegetables or fruit or whatever would get dented. You can't sell them to the store, so we would have all these cases of dented cans, corn and beans and peas or what the hell. And there's no label on them, so I grew up eating dents, and dried fruit, because California was the prune capital of the world. So prunes were everywhere. So we'd have, prunes, dried prunes, and dents, and rice and gravy, and sometimes mashed potatoes, mostly rice. And my mom was from Monroe, Louisiana, actually West Monroe, you know, Duck Dynasty, those Duck guys, that's where she grew up. So she wasn't Catholic. She was something else. I don't know. But for her, the Bible was, that's it. The Bible fits in the Bible. That's it. So now my Uncle Frank he's on TV every morning, you know, and he's an actual journalist, okay, who's actually helping the United States, keeping it glued together as a journalist so that the public can learn what's actually going on. So one day, I was only there for a few days, but one day there was a big pool party. My cousins were having a pool party. It's a bunch of noise. They picked up my Uncle Frank, you know, he's all spiffed up, and threw him in the pool. I'm like, fuck, they threw Uncle Frank in the pool. So he was kind of pissed, you know, and our fucking kids, they don't know what the fuck's going on. So he dried off, and then he brought me to the back of his yard. He had a big yard. Well, at the time it seemed big. It's about the size of a full-size tennis court. At the back is a hedgerow. And so he brought a chair back there, and he said, come, Sammy. And so I'm Sammy. Okay, Uncle Frank. So he brings me back there, and I ask him, you know, you were there. What happened to President Kennedy? You know, I'm still traumatized from, you know, Kennedy getting wasted by Sirhan, whatever the poor guy's was, the you know, the puppet that got framed for it. And so Uncle Frank said, well, it was an inside job. The United States did this to him. It was an inside job. It wasn't, what's the guy's name? I forget the poor guy that they framed for it. You know, he got shot and killed by the organized crime guy in the hall. So what had happened was Uncle Frank, when he was a young man, sold papers in Dallas, and he knew that there was a single payphone in that hospital down by the emergency room door. So when the shooting occurred, he busted his ass as an NBC journalist and went over to that payphone, and he stayed in that payphone for the entire thing. I think he actually peed in the payphone because he didn't want to leave the payphone. So he said, well, it was an inside job. He didn't tell me the name of anybody, but he just said the United States did it to him to kill him. You know, it wasn't this other guy, whatever the poor guy was. I forget his name. And I'm like, huh? What? Everything was a big old lie? What? You're kidding. What? Now, Father Mac, who was my personal friend, a very excellent gentleman, Thomas McMahon, a great priest, a great spiritual leader. This is 1967. It was 1967. He arranged for our teen group to go to the Soviet Union, Czechoslovakia, West Berlin, Poland. So we went to Moscow, Leningrad, and Kiev. So I'm like, well, now at this time I had harvested a few deer, one big old wild boar, and I don't know how many ducks and pheasants and doves, but I've harvested a lot. It blasted the crap out of them. So I knew what a gun would do. I knew exactly what a 30-30 would do to a deer. I knew exactly what a Mauser 8mm would do to a deer. There's no question about it. It looks a hole about this big, and it comes out about this big. So now, my old man's a courageous guy. So, you know, he didn't say be courageous. I just knew he was courageous. So I'm like, well, I want to be an army man. You know, like my old man, I want to be an army man. You know, we'd have little toys, army man. I was one of the guy with the machine gun. I mean, that had a machine gun like this. You get these little rubber plastic army guys and you play with them. You like, 50 for 99 cents or something. I don't know what it was. My Charlie and my brother and I played with the army man. We're going to be army men. I had a BB gun. I had a BB gun from, I don't know, kindergarten maybe. So then I moved up to a pellet gun. Then I moved up to a 22. Then I moved up to a 410. Then I moved up to a 20 gauge. And then at this point, I'm shooting a 12 gauge and a 30-30. So I'm like, well, in gun safety, and back then there was what's called the NRA, National Rifle Association. So you put your name on, well, name on something, they'll just send you tons of shit every day and every year, tons of shit. NRA, NRA. So I'm just into guns. I'm not into girls. I'm not into booze. I'm just into guns because I like guns. Right, you're a kid. So I figured, well, okay, I'm gonna be an army man. I'm gonna go shoot these motherfucking Russians, these bad guys, and they're not Catholics, so it's okay to shoot them. How stupid is that? Come on. How stupid? And I'm 17. How stupid? How fucking stupid is that? But I figured, well, I'm not going to shoot them because unless they're bad, I'll fucking shoot them. But if they're not bad, I'm not going to shoot them. So before I become an army man and join the army to shoot the Russians, I'm going to go to Russia to see if they're bad. Well, turns out Russians are nice people. They actually like Americans. They like blue jeans. They like the Beatles. They like Americans. They're not anything like I'd been brainwashed. Hello? Got anything like I was brainwashed. Now, when I went in from Ostend, Belgium on a train. I think it was Ostend, Belgium or Helsinki. No, it was Ostend, Belgium, I think, by train. And I had a Time magazine at the time. It had a picture of Khrushchev. It's a big red picture. Khrushchev's like, you know. And so I'm on the train and we pull into Russia and the train is a single track, one locomotive, one train car goes down, one-way track all the way. We're going to Russia and there's like, you know, and you can tell there was like a war had happened there and stuff. And there's a candy store. It's got white rocks, some plants, and it looks like a candy store, like a cartoon candy store. And everybody has to get out. We're all going to get out and go get to the candy store. So we get out, walk out, and the candy store is all set up, but there's nobody in the candy store. And all the candy's fake. It's set up exactly like it, but it's fake candy. And then the train pulls out and goes around the candy store, and they confiscate whatever they want to confiscate. So they confiscated a bunch of stuff, but they didn't take the Time magazine, okay, because it was red and it showed Khrushchev's, and so the Russians thought it was good, but it was put on Time magazine, make it like he was bad. It's kind of like on Awakening. What's going on? So turns out Russians are nice people. Last thing I want to do is shoot a Russian. Well, I mean, why wouldn't the fuck do you want to shoot somebody? I mean, it's a big boo-boo. You know what I mean? So suddenly I'm thinking, well, something's not right here. Because if John F. Kennedy was killed by people that were Americans and was blamed on some guy who went to Russia, and now I'm in Russia and they're supposed to be the ultimate bad guys and they're all nice people, I'm like, something's not right. So it's kind of the same story in East Berlin. You know, I went to West Berlin too. East Berlin is like poor. Moscow was poor in 67. East Berlin is like jumping. I mean, West Berlin is just jumping. You know, it's like a lot of cool stuff, cars and, you know. So I came to the conclusion that something's not right. Something's not right. Okay. Now I went into the American embassy in Moscow. I had just turned 18 while there. And you have to register for the draft at 18 back then. So I walked in, I was by myself. Everywhere I went in Russia, I was followed by two guys. They kind of look like, you know, the fat guy on Laurel and Hardy kind of looked like that guys, two of those guys with big coats and I want to say a derby hat, right? Big coats. And they would follow me everywhere. If I get on a bus, I go to the train or whatever. And then the hotel where I stayed in had a key. You get a key with, you know, the room number. And then above it was a place for a key about that big. So you'd get the little key to open the door. Once you got in there, the big key would shut the door and you're locked in there. And then the TV, the radio that was in the room would go on and off by itself. And it would just talk about it wasn't English, it was in Russian, but it was like space flights and people cheering and all kinds of weird stuff. I'm like, this is weird. And so when I came back to the United States, everybody's like, the Russians are bad. We got to kill the Russians. And they're, communism and Vietnam and all this other stuff. So I walked in like the first day of my junior year at MIDI, and I'm like, no, this is not true what they're telling me. So I went to Abraham Lincoln School in San Jose, and got to meet people that weren't Catholics. Whoa, that was kind of scary, because I'm still thinking, they're going to go to hell, and I shouldn't talk to them and stuff. So my mind control started at birth, hello, and was incredibly intense until I got out of the, quote, matrix of Catholicism, okay? And the matrix of what the American dream was, the story that everybody had been sold. And I'm totally isolated now because nobody believes any of the stuff I'm talking, because they think, he's full of shit. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Russians are nice. Come on. Bullshit. So I'm like, no, they're really nice people. Actually, they're really nice people. They're actually poor, really, really poor. And they like Americans, right? So I go into the American Embassy to register, and I stroll in there, and the two guys stop at the door. I'm like, well, the guys are gone. They're not following me in here, right? So it's just like downtown San Jose. Once you go in that wall in the embassy. And I walk up to the lady, and it's the counter. I said, I'm here to register. And she goes, oh, there's the forms over there on the wall. There's like, like a table against the wall, and these forms and these boxes. I'm like, I thought it'd be a bigger deal, going to Moscow and register for the draft. So I go over there, and it's the forms are to register to vote outside the country. I'm like, no, I'm not here to, I don't know. So I go back to the lady, and I said, I'm here to register for the draft. She goes, what? You're here to register for the draft? I go, yeah. Now, I look like I'm about 12. I'm 75 now, so you can imagine what it looked like when I was 18. I was like, look like a little kid. So she goes, well, you got to go talk to the guy upstairs. So another guy comes, and they bring me upstairs. And so I talk to the guy upstairs. He's with the big desk and a suit, and he's looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing here, kid? And I go, I'm here to register for the draft. He goes, oh, okay. So he fills it out. He goes, what are you doing here? I said, well, I'm here with Father Mac and the teen group. It's like, 18 girls and 3 guys. He goes, well, we're going to have an embassy party tonight. Bring all the girls over here. So we're like, cool. So I get to go back, and all the girls are like, oh, we got an embassy party. Because, when you're that age, when you go on a trip, you bring every fucking thing you own. So they've got wigs and dresses and shoes, all kinds of stuff. There's tons of stuff. These are all Catholics, right? So girls in Catholic high school, boys in Catholic high school. So we went to the embassy party, and everybody got fucking drunk on hard stuff. No beer. Just those embassy guys just got totally fucked up. And we all got fucked up. So it made an impression on me that, this is interesting. This is very interesting. Okay, so I come back, and MIDI's like, no, I'm not going to go to MIDI. I'm going to go to public school. So I go to Abraham Lincoln's High School and get exposed to, well, what do you know? Not everybody's a Catholic, and all the ones that aren't Catholic, they're actually nice people. So I think I'm still going to church, though. I'm still going to mass, doing the genuflection, the holy water, the whole thing, right? So I think it was like my beginning of my senior year. It's my second year in public school. And we had the same routine. Everybody went to school, and then Saturday we did yard work and chores. And then Saturday night we'd get our haircut. My dad would, and then Sunday we would go to mass. So Saturday we're at dinner. I think Mom cooked chicken and rice and a big thing of gravy. A big thing of rice. And I said at the table, I said, Dad, I'm not going to go to mass tomorrow. And my mother's like, and the kid's like, what? You know? So my old man goes, I'm not going either. I went, fuck. And then my mom goes, I'm not going either. I'm like, fuck. It's just kind of my brain went, boing. So stop going to mass, just like that, because I said I'm not going to mass. It kind of went from the top down, I'm not going to mass. So I don't know the concept of mind control. I have no idea I've been under mind control. All I know is I'm doing the right thing, and I'm not going to shoot some fucking Russian because somebody tells me to. And I'm brave enough to say that. Okay. So, all right, senior year, go to San Jose State University. Actually, it was San Jose State then, hadn't become a university. It became a university while I was there. And the first year I was in the SAE fraternity. Come sing to SAE, ba 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 ba. Remember the Jim Belushi movie with the fraternity and the toga party is exactly like that, but worse. Exactly like that, but more over the top. And those guys are nuts, but it was more nuts where we were. It was like in that year, that freshman year, Playboy magazine had a qualifications of the schools of the most parties, and it was San Jose State was the school of the most parties. And so there was people from all around the United States who were there that were like, bankers' sons and, rich kids. They were just there to party. Well, I was living in the back of my Volkswagen. At this point, my old man's like, you better get the hell out of here, Sammy, because, come on. There's no place. Actually, there was no place for me to live. That we had the family grew up and there was nothing to live. And so they borrowed a little teeny trailer and put it in the driveway. And I was in the trailer and this is fucked. I don't want to stay in this thing. So I bought a Volkswagen. And I'm sleeping in how big a Volkswagen is, a little teeny one. I'm sleeping in the back. And I got a thing in the back, over the very back there. I got some clothes hanging. So I think I'm on my own. So then, that's when I went to the fraternity. Well, I didn't have money for the fraternity. It was $1,000 a month, but they gave me jobs working in the kitchen. And they called me, you're a face man. I'm like, what the fuck's a face man? I don't know. Is that good or bad? But they said, because I'm handsome, quote, these are a bunch of losers. Because I'm handsome, I can attract the girls to come in and they can fuck them. Well, I knew lots of girls from high school and from college. So the first time I, brought 4 or 5 really cool girls, they got all fucked up. And then I was like the most popular guy in the fraternity. So anyway, keep going forward. So I still don't know about mind control. Okay. But I'm thinking, how does, and then all the guys in the fraternity, there's, communism and Russia's terrible and, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think so. And I don't think this Vietnam War is a good idea. Okay. So this is late 60s, early 70s. So there's a street that goes through the middle of San Jose State. It's called 7th Street. So 7th Street's in the middle. So when something was coming down, it would happen on 7th Street. So there were people that older than me would be doing these protests about Vietnam, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I don't care. Are there any girls here? I can go get drunk. I don't, what the fuck? That was San Jose State at that point held the first Earth Day. And the fraternity I was in participated with other fraternities where we took some money and bought a Ford, brand new Ford, never started the motor, pushed it all the way from the car dealer down to San Jose and buried it in the ground, buried it on the Earth. That was the first Earth Day. Got the start of this thing. And a gentleman showed up who was one brave motherfucker. His name was William Kunstler. And he was going to speak at this protest. I think it was the Earth Day protest, or right around that time. And the San Jose State had the San Jose State newspaper, and they said, if this guy shows up, he's going to get arrested. So this guy showed up. He says, you go fucking arrest me. Go ahead. You can't arrest me. We're fighting against the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, whoa, this guy's pretty heavy dude. He's William Kunstler. Cool. So after listening to him, I started thinking, well, a lot of guys got fucked up in World War II. A lot of them. And probably they had no clue what they were getting into. No clue at all. And then Vietnam, there was a lot of guys getting really fucked up, getting wasted, especially minorities, black guys. And they'd come back and they'd be all fucked up. And it's like, this is something's not right. Now, at the same time, the civil rights movement is moving forwards. Okay. Now, my uncle, who I respected and knew what he was talking about, he was pro civil rights. He was the only journalist who actually marched with Martin Luther King. Okay. And in the Kennedy Nixon debates, he was the moderator for the second debate, okay, between John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon. So I'm not really listening to my old man. He's still like Joe Army man, short hair, buzz cut, working at Food Machinery Corporation, making bombs and weapons. Made these little bullets. I think it was called a flechette or something. Looked like a little space rocket ship, but it was about that big, made out of this hard steel. And I guess they would drop them, and it doesn't explode, just goes through you. So he's making these things. And they made army tanks. So we'd ride our bicycles over and watch the army tanks practice. The guy's got all his teeth knocked out driving through the range and the testing the army tanks. They go in the mud under the water and stuff. So I'm kind of like tuning out my old man. My old man's like, you fucking hippies. Fucking hippies, fucking hippies. So there's a real split in the 70s. Okay. I've gone through San Jose State. I'm in graduate school becoming a speech and language pathologist. My old man is like, now he's working at Food Machinery Corporation, right? Now he's part Chinese, part British, part Russian Chinese. So he looks Asian. Okay. He doesn't look Chinese, but he looks a little bit Asian. Well, he grew a goatee, right? Now he's a World War hero, World War II. He's a parachute jump instructor, 101st Airborne. And the people that are working at Food Machinery Corporation, they're giving him a hard time because he looks like a fucking chink, communist. So he's like, now he's getting, idiots digging on him, right? And he's all pissed off about it. And so I'm like, this is so weird. This is so weird. And still they're, on TV is like, Frank is still talking about the war. He brought the war into people's living rooms back then. Then I think it was about 1974. Might have been 1973. I go in the house, my mom's house, my dad's house, in the back door, and there's Frank sitting at the table with my mom. He's so handsome. And hi, Sammy. And I'm the only one in the family that really kind of knows him. My mom knows him, but nobody else really knows him. And our friend is a chauffeur, and the chauffeur drives up, and the chauffeur stands outside the limousine, So as soon as Frank comes down, he opens the door and puts the shit. I'm like, check that out. I'm like, still eating dents. So Frank shared with myself and my mother that he's dying of cancer. And his, quote, girlfriend, who was African-American, now he's married and has kids. His girlfriend was dying of cancer too. And he didn't think he was going to last much longer. And that he was going to announce on live TV his information that he had about the Kennedy assassination. Now, at this point, Bobby had already been wiped out. Was Bobby wiped out then? Well, Martin was. So, and Frank was going to tell live from New York, nationwide, what he knew, not the lies. So, the day Frank was going to do that, the day before Frank was going to do that, he died. he did the morning show. He got in the car, went to the hospital and died. And then after that, his black girlfriend died, both of some sudden cancer. So I'm like, no, man, this is not good. Now, I grew up, well, 1938. I was born in 1949. 1938, Time magazine was the big publication for the United States because TVs weren't really in the zone quite yet. And Time magazine had every year a cover of the man of the year, the greatest man of the year. So in 1938, they had Adolf Hitler on the cover of the Time magazine. Okay. All right. So I'm starting to go, well, this, you know, what, you know, what's going on? What's going on? So I started to investigate by accident mind control. And my mom, who was like almost always pregnant, at this point, she had a couple of miscarriages, 7 live deliveries. I was the oldest, so she'd take me, Sammy, and we'd go to San Jose Public Library, which is downtown, so they have big, big building, right? And so I was into hunting. So I've already gone through all the hunting books. There wasn't many. It was like, guys in Africa and lion hunting and, bears eating people, guys shooting with a bear and stuff. So one day there was an old book there and it was hunting hypnosis. Like, what's hypnosis? So you could check out we could check out all the books. So I checked out this book on hypnosis. So I'm reading this book on hypnosis and going, what? You can do something to somebody and they'll do what you say? What? Right? So I'm like, that's bizarre. So I think it was 8th grade when we had to do a science project and you had to make a thing and then had to make a display. And then the families would come at night and everybody have a little card table with their display. So I did a display in hypnosis. I remember because I misspelled it. All right. So I started dipping my toe. What the hell is hypnosis? What does that mean? Okay, so I noticed that all the techniques were exactly what the priest would do in the mass. It was the same thing, burning candles and organ music and group singing. And so I figured out the mass was a mass hypnosis. So if somebody's going to hypnotize 1 people, you got to get them to cooperate. But if you have 1,000 people and you tell everybody to stand up, they're all going to stand up. You're going to stand up. So it's easier to hypnotize 1,000 people than one person. Well, on TV, they had all the World War II stuff and Korean War stuff. So you'd have a lot of, Jeeps and guns and bombs and planes and, the kamikazes and the ships and, the Germans and, whatever, the communists and the Nazis and, bang, 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 hand grenades and army helmet. So I'm like, I wanted to be an army man. So this is all starting to not make sense. Why is it that the priest does these certain postures and these certain things, and they have these fragrances and the candles and these processions? He's wearing all these shiny garments and the bells, and everybody's doing these things, and his group's singing, and everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's doing the same thing. Doesn't mean they believe it, but they're doing it. They probably did believe it. Do they know actually what's going on? No. Did they believe a lot of it? Yes. Of course, belief begins where knowledge ends. Okay. Belief begins where knowledge ends. So, okay, I come back from the Soviet Union. I'm seeing, what's going on the TV. And then my Uncle Frank is, graduate school. He shows up and he says, he's getting off to, he thinks it's an inside job that he's getting taken out. And then he suddenly dies. So I'm like, huh. So now I'm looking closely at NBC in the news because I'm used to watching it all the time, Uncle Frank. and things kind of morphed. Very little steps, but everything kind of changed. And I found out later what happened was after they took out Frank, then they made all the journalists, that term stuck on them still. All the journalists became members of the Screen Actors Guild. Screen Actors Guild. So they're screen actors. They're not independent journalists anymore. See, Frank would see a story, he would write what he's going to talk about, or write an outline what he was going to talk about, and then he presented it. That stopped after Frank was taken out. So then all the news readers, they still call them journalists, were in the Screen Actors Guild, so they're acting. So today, 2024, you turn on the news and every station will go, well, blah, 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 and then the next one, blah, blah, blah. It's all the same, blah, 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 blah. Everybody's saying the same thing. It's hypnosis. Okay. So I'm like, fuck this, man. So I went into speech and language pathology. That's why I went into it. So it's like, because the communication is, you could tell somebody something and then go do it. Like, what's this about? Now, it turns out, now I am trained by an eminent hypnotist, Sylvia Celeste Brown, the psychic. I was administering training with the organization. So I know the inside track on hypnosis. Also, I'm trained with the elite group at Brain Science International, and I'm certified as a neurotherapist. I'm certified as a neurotherapist, and that's where you're using fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging. And I'm biofeedback certified with the International Alliance. And biofeedback is kind of interesting. Okay. When you put hypnosis and biofeedback and neuroscience together, you find out that you can get people to do what the fuck you want. Okay, with hypnosis. Now, in hypnosis, which is the main thing in mind control, you can't violate someone's free will. If someone doesn't want to do something, hypnosis is not going to make them do it. You can hypnotize somebody, raise your hand. Oh, you can't put your hand down. Oh, I can't put my hand down, or you can't talk, or you watch military people being hypnotized. It's pretty funny. The person would be like, they say, you're Elvis and you're horny, and people start humping and singing, like, what the fuck's that about? Or whatever. Military people in uniform that follow instructions, hypnosis. So that's why I went into neuroscience. And that's why I became a speech and language pathologist. So this stuff I'm talking about now, this is firsthand experience of watching it happen and being involved in watching people do crazy ass stuff. So now if it doesn't violate your free will, it means that it's something that you would do without hypnosis. Okay, so let's say you're sitting there and on the TV screen, it says, this person eats babies. Shows a picture of some black guy with, goatee or, horns or whatever the fuck, something scary looking. And then that goes in there a couple of times. You've stimulated with it. You're not going to really do anything about it, but that's what you saw. And then somebody hypnotizes you. It gives you the instruction, if you see a black guy with kinky hair and dreadlocks, and he's got an American flag upside down on his motorcycle, kill him. Okay, so now this is different. Okay, now you've been given a gentle suggestion that is implanted, and then you get hypnotized. Then you'll follow the hypnotic suggestion. Okay, so that's kind of what was happening as a Catholic. Look, it's a mortal sin. You eat a hot dog on Friday, you're going to fucking hell, kid. And I'm only 9. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Well, how long will I be in hell? Well, forever. Huh? What? So it's like, and then you get hypnotized. You're in mass, up, down, genuflect, water, up, down, say the word, all this bullshit. You go in this mass hypnosis, you don't even know you're hypnotized. Nobody says they're going to hypnotize you. You didn't give anybody permission to hypnotize you, but you've been hypnotized. Well, let's see. 52 times a year, at least in Catholic school. Okay. And then you're there for, say, 8 years, hundreds and hundreds of times you've been in this mass hypnosis. So if the guy walks up and he's got a black priest outfit with a collar, guy knows God, it's cool. A quick story. When I went to Rome for the first time, been to Europe 3 times, mostly focused on Switzerland. First time I went to Rome, I was with my girlfriend, Katie D'Angelo. So Katie had a suitcase about that big, and then she had another suitcase about that big. And so I had a little authentic Cub Scout backpack, not a backpack, but a Cub Scout backpack. That's all I had. So when the train would pull in, she would shove her shit out through the window, and I would be on the dock there, grab it, and then I'm running with these big old suitcases of my shit. So the train pulls in, and there's a long dock in Rome. And so we get out, there's a long dock, and we're just going down the dock. Well, there's this priest. And we're like, oh, thank God. Because it was hot, and, it's Italy and Rome. And it's like, you don't know what the fuck's going on. Probably drank some wine also. So the priest goes, well, where are you going? I'll make up a name, Father Jim or something. No, Father Tim. We'll call him Father Tim. So Father Tim goes, well, where are you guys going? We go, well, we got the hotel right here, So I got the card. It's a big, big card with the address of the hotel. He goes, well, I know exactly where that is. I'll help you. Oh, thank God. So he takes, we were given these, it's like a security pouch you wear underneath your clothes, underneath your shirt. You zip it, you put your passport and your money in there so you don't get robbed, right? So he says to Katie and I, you better give me your thing so nobody takes it. Okay? Nobody takes it. So, and then he takes the 2 big suitcases. Okay, so we're like, oh, thank God the priest is there. He can help us because, nobody speaks English. We got to find this hotel on our own. So he starts walking down the thing with his suitcases. Well, pretty soon he's kind of ahead of us. And then pretty soon he's further ahead of us. And then at the end of the dock, he's walking. And then before the exit door, he's running with the suitcase, right? So I'm thinking, oh, he must be going out there to get the car or something, right? So, man, was I fucking stupid. I'm still trusting priests at this point. So Katie and I are kind of like, where is he? And as we walk out the door, there's a blind guy beggar, right? He grabs Katie's ass. I'm like, fuck, the blind guy grabbed Katie's ass. What the fuck's going on? Of course, we're like totally clueless. So I don't see the priest. Where's Father Tim? So I'm running down the street. There's Father Tim. He's getting in this taxi, right? And he's just put the suitcases on top of this Fiat. had a wooden rack on the top. So I hustle down there, and he starts to drive off with the taxi guy. I grab both suitcases and I rip the whole luggage rack off with the suitcases, right? I'm like, fuck, this guy's not a priest. What the fuck is this about? So that kind of just blew me out at how stupid I was. You get dressed like a priest, you're going to fucking believe him. Interesting story. Okay, so mind control. Now, speech pathology, neuroscience, hypnosis. Well, now I'm 75, so I'm going to sort of unload some stuff on what's happening to you right now. Okay, now, remember everybody had a TV antenna on top of the house? Remember? You have that wire come down and hook it onto the back of the TV. Sometimes you have to turn the TV antenna to get the station right. Everybody had antennas. You got your TV through the antenna. So you had the local station, you had the national stations, whatever. Well, Barack Obama. Barack Obama made it mandatory that all the media goes digital. So it's like, oh, it's digital because it's instant download and you can just stick all this crap on there. And we've got these computers coming in. It's all digital. You want digital. It's not the old stuff. So local station would send the stuff to your antenna. So it turns out that the digital that was mandated by law that everybody gets exposed to, it is able to hypnotize you with what's called flicker rate, Flicker rate, flicker rate. So you can sit there, stare at the TV, and pretty soon, because of this flicker, your mind goes into hypnotic state. So then when stuff that comes out of the tube goes into you, you're just wide open. You don't even have a clue. No clue you're being massively hypnotized. Well, hello, you watching flicker rate now. Right now, there's flicker rate. Your TV right now is flicker rate. Okay. So that was mind control that just up a big step, and that was done by Barack. Okay. Mr. Obama, you know, the guy that's manipulating Sleepy Joe. You know that guy? You know that guy? He's the one that made that happen. Okay, so covert hypnosis is the way to get people to do stuff. Covert hypnosis is the way to get people to do stuff. Now, neuroscience is what's going on today with digital stimuli. Okay? Neuroscience. Now, they have something called neuromarketing. So, all the big companies, all the big pharmaceutical companies, all the big energy companies use neuromarketing. So, they go to the neuroscientists and they go to the feedback people, certified feedback people. So you can see what's going on in their brain, and you can see how the information is going in. You can see how they're processing it, and you see what behaviors they're doing. And then they do the hypnosis. So you get hypnosis, neurofeedback, and neuromarketing. So when they go to the high-tech people, the politicians or Coca-Cola or whomever, go to neuromarketing, well, they're using big bucks because they're using TV. And the people that they get to do the neuromarketing that are making some of that money, they have to sign non-disclosure agreements. So you're not going to know. Kaiser Hospital uses neuromarketing techniques. Okay. Ford is using neuromarketing techniques. Coca-Cola is using neuromarketing techniques. The power companies, the gas companies, oil companies, hospitals, all the big places are using neuromarketing, but they won't tell you they're using neuromarketing, and you can't find out they're using neuromarketing. Okay. And the way neuromarketing works is you're hypnotized, and then they're applying all this neuroscience so that they're managing you. So they can make you feel nauseous, horny, fatigued, anxious, frightened, hysterical, cause psychological disorders, all kinds of stuff with what's called fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging. Okay, so in the past, they're trying to market Coca-Cola. Okay, so they got Coca-Cola, the guys had a horse and wagon, Coca-Cola, and then, they get cars and trucks, Coca-Cola. Then they've got, TVs, Coca-Cola, right, or whatever. And then today it's Coca-Cola. What do you want? I want a Coca-Cola. It's bad for you. Yeah, I know. It rots your teeth. Yeah, I know. It's just candy that's liquefied. Yeah, I know, but I want a Coca-Cola. You know why? Because you're mind controlled. It's mind control. Now, how do they do that? Well, in the past, if you were walking down the grocery store aisle, they'd have a camera on you and they could tell what you're doing. Well, he's looking at the 7-Up. He's looking at the Dr. Pepper. He's looking at the Orange Crush. And he's looking at the Coca-Cola. which one's he going to get? He's going to get the Orange Crush because I liked Orange Crush. Okay. Or A&W root beer. I'll get A&W root beer. Okay. I never really got Coca-Cola. I don't know. Just, I liked oranges. I'd get Orange Crush. Well, that's all old hat. They don't do that anymore. Now they have what's called neuromarketing. So neuromarketing, they can put a little cap on your head with it's like 21 contacts that are monitoring what's going on inside your head. Monitoring what's going on inside your head. So you got a person walking down the aisle and they look at Orange Crush, and the fMRI is showing that the part of your brain who is stored a memory with oranges that wasn't healthy and you didn't like it and it squirted in your eye for that individual person. And that's why they're not going to buy the Orange Crush. Whereas before you just see what their arms are doing and where they're looking, but now you can see what's going on in their head. So now when you can see what's going on in their head, what their memories are doing that are being attached to the incoming stimuli, now you can construct something so that when they see it, they won't like it, or they'll see it and they love it. It's not hard to do. So let's say you're an African-American person, you smoke Newports, comes in a green package. You're addicted to cigarettes. Your old man was addicted to cigarettes. Your mom's addicted to cigarettes. Everybody's smoking Newports. So that green, okay, so they know that just seeing that green is going to impact you. Okay, so like let's say they're going to sell soap. Okay, so if they put soap with the green background, suddenly in the black neighborhoods, everybody's buying that soap. They're buying that soap. Because it's soap. I like the soap. It's the same price I'm going to get that soap. So then as neuromarketing and fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging, and biofeedback and hypnosis really start kicking ass, then you don't have to have a big piece of green in the screen. You can have a little teeny piece of screen that's green, and it'll still do the trick. And actually, you could look at the screen, they'll see whatever the hell's going on. You don't even perceive the little green speck. But when you go to do something, that little green speck is controlling what you're doing because it's subconscious and you've been hypnotized over and over and over to like that thing. Okay. So that works two ways. You can make somebody like something or dislike something. Now, Donald Trump, okay? You've heard of the Trump derangement syndrome? You know, he's a racist. Why is he racist? Because he's a fucking racist. Why is he racist? Because he's a racist. Well, can you give me a reason? He's a racist. Yeah, but why? He's a racist. Can you give me an example? He's a racist. He's a racist. Well, it's a derangement syndrome. Why is that? Media, digital media. Are you aware of it? No. Do you have those feelings? Yes. So now the way thoughts and language are processed is something goes in their ears or something goes in your eyes or your nose or you taste it or it's a feeling. So it goes in and it's a quote feeling. Okay. So stuff goes in, it creates a feeling, triggers a feeling. And then after it becomes a feeling, it's processed, then it goes to thought. What do you think about it? Okay, that's the second step. So first is feeling, second is thought. Okay. Third is what you're sensing. Okay. So in that feeling zone, that's where this neuroscience just kicks ass big time, just kicks ass big time, kicks ass big time. So everybody are responding to their feelings. Okay. Now, okay, here's my ear, here's my eye, here's my hair, there's brains. You cut up the brains, there's a hypothalamus and brain stem, blah, blah, blah. These pieces, these little pieces, billions and billions of neurons getting talking to each other, all this stuff going on. So you have no clue what's going on. Okay, you really have no clue what's going on. Now, if I say, where's your big toe? It's right down there. Where's your other big toe? It's right down there. So you could punch the toe and make a hole in it or cut it off or x-ray it. Here it is. There it is. So where's your willpower? I'm can you cut out a piece of willpower? No. Where's your ability to focus? In my head. Where's your willpower and your ability to focus? Where's your unconditional love? Okay, well, in my heart, my head, in my underpants, I don't know. So, boys and girls, ladies, gentlemen, your willpower, your ability to focus, your unconditional love are inside you right now. You had those before you even incarnated. You use those things to incarnate your own willpower, your own ability to focus, and your own unconditional love. Okay? It's not mind control. Those are spiritual traits that earth pilgrims get from Mother and Father God because you're a spark of the divine. Okay, you are a spark of the divine. You're made in Father God's image, or you're made in Mother God's image. I'm made in Father God's image. All you ladies out there, you're made in Mother God's image. And so, Mother God's the boss. Okay, Father God created everything, but Mother God runs everything. Okay, just like, what about Raymond? How his mother ran everything? Same way. Okay, those of you who have a mom and a dad at home, be honest now. Who's the real boss? Your old man? Your mom? Yeah. Okay. And if your old man thought he was the boss, that's just because she was letting her. You know what I mean? So what happens is your ability to focus is determined on what you're receiving and the distractions that are around. Okay. So if I was in high school and I was in a chemistry class or mathematics class, you got all those windows on one side, and then outside is the girls playing, field hockey. It's kind of hard to concentrate on the brother talking about, some mathematical whatever when you got these girls running around up there. So your ability to focus is kind of like, well, how come you failed those tests? Well, I don't know. Another example is I had a home in New Zealand. I was a permanent resident in New Zealand, a little cottage by the beach, Murray's Bay on the North Shore. Very nice. So I got the place and I had the interior painted, and I met a young man. He's probably about 19. Met him and his girlfriend at the beach. And I said, can you paint? Yeah, I could paint. I said, I need to paint my cupboards in the kitchen and I need to paint the bedrooms. Okay, please, can you do that? Oh, yeah, no problem. So he painted the cupboards in the kitchen, did a good job. He painted my bedroom, did a good job. Well, the other bedroom was only a little 2-bedroom place. It's all fucked up. Like, what the fuck? What's going on? This wall has got 100 coats of paint on it. And this wall over here is like, doesn't have enough paint on it. You can see the old paint, So I asked him what happened. I go, look at the windowsill. There's got paint. What that thick? What did you do? But you did fine over there, but you missed a couple spots. But on this wall, I got paint everywhere. Well, it turns out that the neighbor, who has a pool and then a trampoline on this side, well, in New Zealand, sometimes the girls go topless. Okay. It's not unusual to see a topless girl at some beaches. And a lot of places, the girls go topless at the backyard at the pool. Well, he had a teenage girl and she has her friends over. So they're topless jumping on the trampoline. So that side of the window, his eyes went, right? He was totally zoned out of his brain. And meanwhile, he's just painting the fuck out of everything. He doesn't give a fuck. He's just going to stare out the window. So that's what happened to him. So I'm bringing this up because your ability to focus has to do with input that's coming in that's attached to the thought forms. Okay, so it's hard to do 2 things at once. It's hard to do 3 things at once. It's not easy. So yesterday, let's bring it up to speed. Yesterday, a American weapon targeted by Americans, launched by Americans, killed some children in Russia. Okay. So, what happened yesterday? Assange, the journalist that's been in prison, in jail for releasing secrets or whatever. That guy that, has been hiding in the embassies, they released him. So now when you watch the media, there's going to be like this much on the little American weapon that killed a bunch of innocent people and civilians in a Russian country, is in the next to the media where, this Assange guy who's, is real, everybody wants to see him free, is released. So you're distracted from paying attention to what could be the beginning of World War III, a hot war, to focus on this guy that was just released. Okay? So it's the same story. Your willpower, your ability to focus, and your unconditional love are being impacted, okay, by the media, by covert hypnosis, neuroscience, and distractions. So you can't focus on something if, that's the way they do it. So that's what you're in right now. Okay. Now, in conclusion, fear is really cheap. And you can create major fear with functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, and neuroscience. Major fear just by what they're looking at. So it's not hard to get millions of Americans, millions of Italians, millions of French people, millions of Germans to suddenly go get this inoculation. When you have the people in media with the digital stimuli, with hypnosis, with the neuroscience saying, well, you are going to die if you don't get it. And if you don't get it and you kiss grandma, you're going to kill grandma. So just get the shot, and then it's free. It's actually free. And actually, you can get some good things if you go get the shot. You can get donuts, free donuts every day. Just bringing the proof that you got the shot. Okay. So fear and, like the cookies kind of thing, is off the chart today. So stuff that you've been told that's completely fabricated, you believe to be true. Okay. Have you figured that out yet? Have you figured that out yet? You know what I mean? So what do you think is going to happen if they say, well, you need to go get another vaccination? You're going to go, I don't know. Whereas before, okay. Okay. Now in Peru, it was only 3 days. Okay. I'm like, that's bullshit. That's total bullshit. It's total bullshit. It's total bullshit. And what they would have on the screen showed a picture of New York. And Trump's going, we got to find a solution. And then the governor of New York and the mayor of New York are like, we got to find a solution. You're going to die. And so Trump goes, well, we're going to get the hospital ships here into New York. And so the governor of New York and the mayor of the city go, oh, we don't need the hospital ships. We could just put them in the regular convalescent hospitals. So everybody in the convalescent hospitals died. They all died. You know why? They were murdered. Yeah, murdered. It's called murder. Murder. And how was it done? With media. Okay. So this is not in my banned video segment. Okay, I can't put it on something major, but if you go to my website, you can watch this. You're watching it now. If you want more in depth on what the fuck's going on, kick out the $3 and join the banned video club. Put out a good batch each month where you're going to find out what really, really, really happened. Example. You've heard of D-Day? Oh, yeah. Heard of D-Day. Normandy, soldiers, are going to fight the Nazis. Yeah. Well, did you know that that's the second time that invasion occurred? Mm-hmm. The first time it occurred, British intelligence told Ike, don't go. And Ike said, no, I got to go because the Nazis are wiping out the Russians in Leningrad. And Churchill said, don't go. So Ike said, no, I'm going. So he got all these people together, just like D-Day, but it was before D-Day. So they took all the ships and stuff and went over to Normandy, and they all got the fuck blasted out of them. How did they get the fuck blasted out of them? Because City of London, Churchill, and quote, the Catholic Church, who were supporting Hitler, told the Nazis. That's how all this shit comes down. Okay. Now, think about it. The Nazis are today fighting the Russians in Ukraine. The Nazis today, with American money, American weapons, your tax dollars, are fighting the Russians today. And who are the Americans fighting? The Russians. Who are they supporting? The Nazis, because that's exactly what occurred in World War II. But it was big, big lie that gets sold with the media. Now, the way it works in this big scam is where it is today is you have the CIA. Okay. CIA. Is that the American Intelligence Agency? No. What does CIA stand for? The Central Intelligence Agency, not the American Intelligence. It's a Central Intelligence Agency. So where did this happen? Well, this happened at the end of World War II. See, the Americans were clueless bunch of dopes, like 350,000 people got wiped out, Americans. It was like millions and millions and millions of Russians got wiped out. Okay. So Americans think, well, we won the war. Americans didn't win the war. The Russians stopped the Nazis. Did the Americans help? No. No. Okay. So the mind control that you've been through, people are just starting to wake up now because of the COVID thing. Okay. And watching Biden, like Biden's like, the parachute lands, he's looking that way. Somebody asked him a question, he's talking about, his uncle got eaten by cannibals. And the journalist, the White House reporter is like, he's perfectly sharp, he's perfectly fine, he's smarter than anything. You need to worry about Trump. So come on. You going to wake up, or you going to get your next vaccination? You going to vote for Trump, or are you going to vote for the current president? Okay, who can't walk, who can't talk. Pause. It's on the cue card. He says, pause. And people are shills. So you want to find out what's really going on? How you've been mind controlled with hypnosis, digital media, people like Barack. Hello, Mr. Obama. Hello. You know what I mean? So if you really want to think about that stuff and learn what's going on, be perceptive about who's telling you what with digital. Okay? Be perceptive. All right? And what will happen is you'll find out nothing is true. And the reason that they've been telling you this is because it's a lie. That's why you know about D-Day. Oh, D-Day, D-Day, you know, D-Day, 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 D-Day. They don't talk about what happened first. No way, nobody knows. And that's because the Central Intelligence Agency is made up of British intelligence, Nazi intelligence, and American intelligence today. That's the way it works. And the originator of it, this pulling all the strings, is the City of London, because they're the bankers. And where do the bankers all get all their money? The gold at the Vatican. Okay? Catholic Church has been using mind control a long time. Long time. Okay? All right. So this is free information. You're on my channel. You want more in-depth information about what's really happening? Consider kick out $3. Might save your life or the life of your loved ones, especially the life of your children and grandchildren. If you want to. Use your willpower, your ability to focus, and your unconditional love. Okay? Jesus Christ was a real person. Jesus Christ was an incredibly loving person. Okay? He's not God. He's not God. If you really want to know who the big boss is in spiritual land, there's a female that shows up on the planet. She shows up in Lourdes, France. She shows up at Fatima. She shows up in Mexico. She shows up in China. She's the real deal. She's the real divine female entity who can incarnate and show up on the planet because she loves everyone. We're all her children. Okay? It's the truth. It is the truth. Now, this probably rubbed a whole bunch of people wrong, but process it. Why is billions and billions and billions of your tax dollars going to the Nazis in Ukraine to fight Russia? Why? Because the Central Intelligence Agency runs everything. You know, like the president goes, well, do we have aliens? The Central Intelligence Agency says, well, we can't tell you. Sorry. You don't need to know. Who voted them in? Who elected them? Really? So I hope you were able to tune out the background noise. But it's worthwhile to pay attention to what I'm talking about. You and all your loved ones are always in my prayers. Spiritual Mag. Pay the $3. Participate in banned videos.